Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel. Unfortunately, over the weekend we received news that we really did not want to hear with the passing of Michael O'Sullivan, both a friend of ours and a friend of our YouTube channel. We want to both express our condolences, obviously, to the O'Sullivan family, to his partner, to his closest friends, and to everyone that knew Mikey. He was a fantastic man and one we were very privileged to know. I was very lucky to call Mikey a good friend over the last couple of years, starting off when meeting him after the Dublin Racing Festival in 2023. He tagged myself in a post after Goodland had won the Nathaniel Lacey, and after a bit of to and fro we agreed that I'd get him a drink that evening or on the Sunday night alongside a couple of his friends, and we had a very enjoyable evening. After that, the last couple of years have been excellent getting to know him. He always had time for us, which I thought was exemplary of him, including giving us 20 minutes of his time on the Saturday evening before probably the biggest week of his life, when Marine and Goodland were running at the Cheltenham Festival on the Tuesday. He did it because he enjoyed people's company, he enjoyed talking about the sport and getting new people into the sport. He really understood what we were trying to do, what loads of people have been trying to do, both from a journalistic standpoint and from a YouTube standpoint. So it is awfully disappointing what has happened. Obviously, over the last couple of years, that relationship has grown, and I was always able to text him on any level of matters, and he was always the first to get back to you with really important and interesting information on certain horses, should you need it, and also there just for a bit of a chat and a bit of a giggle if you needed it as well. Over the last couple of weeks, we've probably been hoping and praying for something different than the overall answer we got. But Michael can rest assured that everyone loved him. He was a really lovely man. He was a great rider, but most importantly, he was a great man. And both from Josh and myself, we want to wish everyone that knows him very, very well in this tough time. And hopefully in the fullness of time, we can reflect on all the brilliant things he has achieved, both on and off the racecourse.
Hello and welcome along to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel. We are going to be previewing the Grade 1 novice races at the 2025 Cheltenham Festival. Now, you join us in the middle of February. There's just less than a month away till the greatest week on turf, and we absolutely can't wait for that week. But between now and then, there's going to be lots of dissecting, and hopefully we can contribute a good amount to that. So we're going to be previewing the Supreme, the Turner's Novice Hurdle and the Albert Bartlett before looking at the Arkle and the Brown Advisory. So if you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below with what you fancy in those 5 races. We're very keen to have a look, and thank you very much for the support on last week's video with Basher and Anthony Dunkley, and the week before our DRF review. I think that was one of our favourite videos that we've done to date. Now, before we continue, we've got a couple of offers for you. It's that great time of year when Paul Ferguson gets his books out, the Cheltenham Festival Guide, and as always, our loyal LTR viewers can get £4 off either the print, digital, or the digital bundle / print if you use the code LTR CFBG25. It'll be down in the description. LTR CFBG25, all one word, all uppercase.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't roll off the tongue. But the purchase link will be down below. It's simply the best book there is around Cheltenham. We're very lucky that we get to work with Paul Ferguson and advertise this book. We'll be doing it anyway. We've got it anyway. We have it every year anyway.
We do.
It's a staple before the Cheltenham Festival, and it's all things you could need. Trends, horses to look out for, horses and trials throughout the season that you should be keeping an eye on with review to the Cheltenham Festival, which races produce the most winners. And it's definitely the best tool there are to finding and having a slight edge on the rest of the field when it comes to finding those winners during the Cheltenham Festival. You enjoy it, don't you?
Very much so. It's been fantastic to work with Paul over the last couple of years, both his horses to follow at the start of the season, which if people watch that video, there's been plenty of winners that have come out of that, and also over the last couple of Cheltenham festivals. He just bangs them in. Like, I don't know how he does it. If only we could, kind of cut him off at source and, inject a bit of him into us, we might get a few winners on the board.
We might actually back a winner. But if you do want to get a copy of that, you can get £4 off, and that is a good discount because the book isn't that expensive itself, especially the digital print. If you want to go and read it when it comes out, then do go and do so. The code is LTRCFBG25. It'll be on screen. It'll be down in the description. Go and click that link and go and get your copy. You won't regret it if you've never done it before, and if you have done it before, you'll know just how good it is, and you've probably been waiting for our discount. So there you go, you can finally go and order your book. And then we've got another one as well. At Cheltenham Racecourse offer an 18 to 24-year-old race pass. Basically, you sign up to a membership group and you get 50% off some of the biggest days around the racing, jumps racing in general.
Right.
And this year, they were offering 50% off, completely free to sign up, by the way, 50% off the Wednesday at the Cheltenham Festival. Now, they're offering 50% off the Thursday as well. It's a scheme that gets young people into racing. You can do so by clicking the link down in the description as well. Go and sign up to the 18 to 24-year-old race pass and do get 50% off tickets for both the Wednesday and the Thursday at the Cheltenham Festival. So if you're umming and ahhing, if it's your first time and you're thinking of going, take the plunge, 50% off. That could be up to 50 quid. So go and spend that money instead, maybe in the bar, or have a couple of bets, and it makes that day ever so cheaper. We know that it can be difficult to afford tickets, so hopefully that's just a little bit of a helper. There are a limited amount of tickets available for the Thursday and the Wednesday with the race pass, so you've got to go and do it quickly, but all links will be down in the description. So there's two items that you can go and get with a discount, and hopefully you get to enjoy your Cheltenham Festival just a little bit more. Right, now let's move on to the video, and the first race we're going to preview is the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Now, this isn't our final thoughts. Obviously, we've got a month almost, just under a month, until the big week. So things can change. Horses might go different directions. It's Willie Mullins bingo at the end of the day. But we've got a general feel about who's going to run here. At the moment, we've got Kopek Des Bordes, who's 10 to 11. We've got Romeo Coolio at 6 to 1. So is Salvatore Mundi, both 6 to 1. And then we've got a couple of outside pokes. Work ahead, 14 to 1. Kawabumia at 16 to 1. I suppose I'm going to start with Kopek Des Bordes. Is he simply just the standout here? Is there any chinks in the armour?
Well, I think the chink in the armour is potentially maybe before the race. I know people are potentially going to take him on from a case in point of, he got pretty hot in the parade ring at Leopardstown. He was difficult to saddle up, all of that. That being said, I've been down that road before where you kind of think a Willie Mullins horse might get kind of overdone by the preliminaries, and you're in the pre-parade ring at 12:45 on Tuesday, and it's walking around like a lamb.
Yeah, obviously.
And you're there going, bloody hell, like, why are we taking this horse on? Well, they've put earplugs in, or they've put in the precautions.
But it's also, I don't think many people know, but on the Monday of Cheltenham, when the horses arrive at the race course, or I think even the Sunday, they all go round the parade ring just to get used to it, don't they, the Willie Mullins horses? So that's something as well that could contribute.
Yeah, I don't think it will be an issue. I know some people will perhaps on the preview night circuit will bring it up, and maybe it'll try to find a reason to take him on. Look, I thought he was absolutely superb at Leopardstown. His jumping was so much better. It did seem, I do tend to agree with Patrick Mullins, it did seem like something must have been kind of ailing him at Christmas time, because it was markedly out to the left. It just didn't really make a whole pile of sense. He didn't really show any tendency to go left at the DRF. He was very impressive. I think the only thing you could maybe throw at him was that race did fall apart. So maybe, is there a small case of that he was flattered by that? Perhaps so. But at the same time, he was so impressive. I wouldn't be in a mad rush to be taking him on.
No. I suppose the form, maybe beating Kawabunga, is better than what he did at the DRF.
Arguably, and he was very good to win still by 3.5 lengths, despite doing how much wrong he did. So, like, he's just a horse that clearly is one of these that maybe doesn't completely light up the place at home, but they weren't expecting him to win on Bumper Debut. He won by 15 lengths at Fairyhouse. You alerted us to that very early in the season, and then he did everything wrong at Christmas time. Still won. Did a lot more right at Leopardstown at the DRF, and absolutely bolted.
He jumped so well at the DRF. I can't. The difference between the two runs was
unbelievable.
Chalk and cheese. Salvatore Mundi, stablemate, he was all the hype early on in the season, and he's not actually done much wrong. He won the Moscow Flyer. I suppose, looking at him, he just looked very unfurnished at this time with regards to a race of this nature.
Yeah, he does, and I'm just not so sure. Like, his pre-race kind of antics isn't too bad, but he was incredibly keen at Punchestown. Now, they were going a very pedestrian gallop, but his jumping kind of fell apart as a result. Arguably, that will all improve with a better race, better gallop, all of that. But, if he starts kind of lighting himself up at Cheltenham on the way down on that big run between the first and second hurdle, his race will be run far too far out in my eyes.
Can he win it?
No.
Why not?
I just don't see it.
Not good enough?
No, I think he's probably got the ability to run a very good race, but he's just not solid. And I just don't know. I think he'll be one of these, perhaps he has the ability to go very, very close. But I could also see him running an unbelievably stinking race and actually come almost at the back of the telly.
One horse that's not going to be the case for is Romeo Coolio, isn't it?
No.
He might not be necessarily good enough to go and beat Kopek Des Bordes, but he's going to run such a solid race. Like, if Kopek Des Bordes, for whatever reason, does blow out, maybe it might be the preliminaries, you can imagine Romeo Coolio is going to be the one that's going to mop up.
Potentially so, yeah. Like, I think he's the Each Way Thieves horse in this. He's 6-1. I can't see him out of the 3. He does have a plausible chance of winning as well. Has the festival experience over all the rest of these as well, coming second in a champion bumper. He's done quite a lot right. I suppose the nagging thing with him is still, how did he get beaten by Toonsevator?
Has to be going and winning that in my eyes.
Yeah. Like, if he'd beaten Toonsevator 5 lengths, if that was different, like, if those two places were flipped, you'd be thinking, geez, how's he 6-1? But that is still, and it has to be in your mind. The fact that, the bumper form from last year is a tad wishy-washy, and yet he didn't win the champion bumper. He ran a very, very good race in it. But that Royal Bond run, it just confuses me. Really confuses me.
To maybe at a price, work ahead 14-1. I suppose his form beating William Money on face value looks pretty good now that William Money finished a close second to Cowabunga. Cowabunga, I think, probably will go to the Turners. I think that's the race that they're flirting with. But then again, that would leave JP almost mob-handed in that race with the New Lion as well. So could they split them up? JP doesn't really have a horse that's going to run here.
No, he's a hard horse to get a handle on where he's going to go. Work ahead. I can see why some people have latched onto him at bigger prices. I think he's no bigger than he should be now, down at that kind of 12-14-1 mark. Henry de Bromhead's a funny trainer. He's obviously had a poor enough month, but he's the type of guy, he'll always go to Cheltenham and these horses will run above themselves. I've kind of been guilty in the past for writing these horses off, and they come to the boil when they need to. I could see him running a race quite similar to what In the Pocket ran a couple of years ago, where he runs a race and you go, okay, this horse could be a Grade 1 horse, but he comes third or fourth.
Yeah, I think he'll run well. I'm not sure he's going to be anywhere near good enough to beat Kopek Des Bordes. Is he very much your fancy at this point?
I think he has to be. I'm not going to be piling in at 10 to 11 a month out, but if he was 10 to 11 on the day, I'd back him.
Right, moving on to the Turners Novices hurdle, and I'm actually quite interested to hear your opinion on this. So far, we think Final Demand will definitely run. He's 15-8. The New Lion should definitely run, unless it's bottomless, I said, which is unlikely to be. He's 3-1. Cowabunga, 7-1. Apparently, the desired choice of Willie Mullins. The Yellow Clay, again, maybe go to the Bartlett. I hope so, but I think the Turners is the desired choice for Gordon Elliott for him to run here after he won the Laurels for Naas. And then you've got horses like Potter's Charm, 6 Mile Bridge, kind of 16-1 outside pokes. How do you see this?
Difficult. Very, very difficult. I think it's completely between, I'm not pulling up any trees here, but I think it's completely between the top two. I'm going to say it now because I know he's been popular in anti-post markets, and, maybe if you've got a real flashy price, I'll never turn up my nose at somebody that's got 25 to 1. This Cowabunga is going to become the complete wise guy horse of this year's festival, and I just cannot have him winning either of these Grade 1 races at all. I don't understand it. Like, he still got beaten by Kopek Des Bordes 4 lengths despite him doing pretty much everything right and Kopek Des Bordes doing everything wrong. Then he capitalised on William Money going too quick and jumping poorly last time out. I wouldn't even guarantee Cowabunga to uphold that form with William Money over 2 miles. So he's one of these guys. I think this horse will end up going off criminally short in the market in comparison to the New Lion, and I think it's just wrong because people are just. And I get the Challow record. I get that this year's Challow doesn't look any better than ever, but everyone's then thrashing the New Lion for that. And yet you look at his run at Newbury the time before, and every single horse he beat in that race is winning races like they're running out of fashion. But we never hear that because that doesn't suit the narrative. We just have to throw stones.
Are you a New Lion fan? So for me, I'm going to put some thoughts in your head.
Okay.
I really think Final Demand is a top class horse.
I agree.
But I think he's more in the mould of like the big getaway.
Yep.
A proper 3 mile chaser. I don't think he's necessarily a speed horse. He's not Ballyburn.
No.
He's not Impere Purse.
No.
He's a proper 3 mile chaser, Gold Cup horse down the line. In my eyes, he doesn't look like he's got as many gears as those 2 previous winners for Willie had. Whether the New Lion on every single time I've seen him looks to have all the gears in the world.
Well, I just think, like, we mentioned all the points about the Challow going into Cheltenham, but yet, like, the Nathaniel Lacey, like, when's the last time it's provided a 2.5 mile horse? Like, I'd be all over Final Demand if he ran in the Albert Bartlett. I think there wouldn't be a hope in hell that he'd get beat. But there is just a nagging feeling, is he going to... Like, I think the New Lion is certainly a quicker horse. So it probably then depends on how the race is run. It's not it's just one of those where I see in my head a world where the New Lion on the day goes off 7 to 2, and this Cowabunga could actually go off like 3 to 1. It could go off shorter, and like between the two of them, I wouldn't even look twice.
The Yellow Clay.
I think he desperately needs 3 miles on any way decent ground. Now, obviously, people will say the last couple of Cheltenham festivals have been run on soft, heavy ground. If that's the case, he really comes into this race because they'll probably run him here. I don't know. I think he is slower than Final Demand, and I'm slightly concerned about Final Demand's pace. So I couldn't have him myself.
I get the impression that you're not yet set on who you fancy in this, but if you were leaning one way, let's say 60-40, you said it was between the top 2, which way are you leaning? Or are you 50-50?
I'd be 55-45 the New Lion at the moment.
Interesting. Taking on the Willie Mullins favourite. That's not you. That's not you.
It's not me. It's not me. And I'm not saying...
With a Skelton horse?
Yeah, come the day... I don't mind Skelton. Well, not in handicaps, but... come the day, that could completely change. And I'm not saying I'll be against Final Demand in any great sense at the moment. I just think the New Lion certainly... Like, if you read half of Twitter, the New Lion should be 50 to 1. Has no chance, apparently. And I don't know. I don't understand under what circumstances you could make that assertion.
Okay.
Assertion, even.
Let's move on to the Albert Bartlett. I think I'm with you on the Turners. I think I'd be 55-45 in the favour of the New Lion. I think the ground could possibly change my mind.
Yes.
But then again, the New Lion's been very good on soft ground, so I don't know. It's interesting. Albert Bartlett time. The Yellow Clay is 9 to 2. He might run in the Turners. Final Demand is 6 to 1. He might run in the Turners. The Big Westerner, she is 7 to 1. She's expected to run here. Jet Blue, 12 to 1. Jasmine DeVoe, 16 to 1. God, the comeback of all comebacks if he goes and wins this and backs up his bumper win last year. Let's flick through them. The Yellow Clay, is he going to run?
I think he'll run here.
Do you think they'll see the light?
I think it's 70-30. I think he'll run here.
Final Demand?
No.
The Big Westerner, what do you think of her?
Yeah, she's good mare. I think the only thing... she's got heaps going for her. That Limerick race as well has thrown up Albert Bartlett winners before. I suppose just in my head, you're there thinking a mare in the Albert Bartlett. That being said, so few running it, so it's not really something to dip into the stats and the figures about, because there's actually so little to go upon. She's got a big chance, I think.
Is Jet Blue a forgotten horse, having won at Cheltenham?
No.
Don't like him?
No.
Is Jasmine DeVoe one to forgive?
No.
No.
There's actually Willie Mullins will end up, I think, running 3 or 4 in this race.
And you like one, don't you, at a big price?
Well, yeah, I do and I don't. I've kind of come round to certain horses and then gone off them, then come round to them. I'd maybe give Argento Boy a small squeak if he ran in the race. He's been an awkward horse, so he ran poor in the Champion Bumper last year. Good second to the Big Westerner on Hurdle's debut, then ran a listless race at Leopardstown for no apparent reason, and then won over 2-7 the last day. Then again, I'm kind of looking at him and looking at maybe a Fishery Lane and going, well, they're kind of very similar form. They've both maybe a chance of running half okay. Jasmine DeVoe...
Could they be Seabank Bistro vibes?
Well, yeah, you're kind of clutching at proverbials. Like, obviously people are there gonna be saying, oh, well, John McConnell's got one in there.
Yeah, come on.
He does. And just... this for one reason or another, this one hasn't, like, caught me. He doesn't have what I want from a John McConnell Bartlett horse, and that sounds stupid.
You want something that moves in slow motion.
Exactly.
Keeps on
going.
And
stays. As for this horse, actually maybe has a bit of class and a bit of speed, but like he's more of a front runner. I just see him kind of travelling, to 2 out and then kind of getting swamped, and it's all a bit of a disappointment. He was very good up at Musselburgh, that being said, but I don't know, I'd be disappointed if there wasn't something better than him. At the moment, I'd maybe take that, maiden hurdle form and maybe make it between the Big Westerner and Argento Boy at a very big price. 33 to 1's a working man's price to have a few quid on.
As you would know if you've watched the Antipost series, I'm very much hoping that Gordon Elliott changes his mind and sends the yellow clay here. I think that he might. I think he might look at the market and he might go, you know what, that Turner's is a hot race.
Yeah.
Especially if the ground's kind of good to soft. I think that he could possibly change his mind and come to the Albert Bartlett. It's a Grade 1 waiting for a real horse to stand out in it, and I think he would do just that, especially if Final Demand doesn't go and run. Right, moving on to the Novice Chases, the Grade 1 Novice Chases, and the Arkle comes up next. I suppose I haven't spoken to you since Sergino's been ruled out. Desperately sad that we're not going to see the big clash with him and Majborough, but I suppose it gives Majborough an opportunity to go and show that he's a real superstar. I know that he's shown every sign of that so far, but this looks extremely winnable now.
It does, yeah. A real shame. Obviously, Sergino against him would have been one of the clashes of the week, and we just hope Sergino's okay and he can come back next year and maybe we'll have that matchup at some stage. It's very difficult to look past Majborough at this stage. What did you think about Loda Sud at Warwick? Genuinely, though, because for so much of the race I was impressed, and then I was really unimpressed.
I thought... Going up, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I thought before about 20 strides before the last, I thought this was mighty.
Yeah, exactly.
Jumping everything for absolute fun. Like, it didn't touch a twig.
No.
Jumped unbelievably well. And then he seemed to just... Stop.
For no... Like, I just can't get the whole...
I know they went at some clip.
But
then Rubo...
was in front for that clip.
Yeah.
So I don't buy the whole, we had him a bit short. I get that he'll improve for that and stuff like that. But honestly, I thought he stopped as if there was something kind of at him. Like, almost like a wind issue or something. Because he cut out.
To be fair, Skelton did say he took a massive blow. Dan did. Apparently Harry got off and said he took a blow.
Yeah, but they're always going to say that, though. Like, they're not going to... Like,
I thought if he was...
Skelton going to come out after the Kingmaker and go, oh, Jesus, his win needs a bit of...
No. To be perfectly honest with you, I thought again, 20 strides before the last. If that race had finished the way that I thought it was going to, I thought he was going to win by 15-20.
Yeah.
And I'd have gone, you know what, he's got a chance. There's a chance.
Yeah.
He was very good at Cheltenham at the start of the season. Majborough is inexperienced. His age is probably against him in an Arkle. There's a chance that LOFTUS might just be streetwise enough to at least put him in trouble.
Yep.
I didn't like his finishing effort, not whatsoever. But I do think he's a horse with lots of ability. It's tricky. I think if he jumps like he did at Warwick and he finishes his race like he did at Cheltenham the first time, he's got a squeak. But I don't know.
Was it not also though a case? And like I think Harry Skelton's been one of the most reformed jockeys over the last couple of years. He's riding superbly, but he does still seem to get a bit jumpy around Warwick for some reason, like especially on good jumpers.
You do have to be aggressive there.
No, I do know you have to be aggressive, but you don't need to send them for home at 7 out.
No.
Like, and he rode him at Cheltenham at the November meeting beautifully. He just restrained. He was jumping, took back, and then came with a burst. As for I don't know, at Warwick he saw the 5 fences down the back and went yippee, and kind of committed so much more earlier than he needed to.
With Sergino out, Nicky Henderson has said that Django Bai is more than likely going to run here now. And I think that's probably fair, because I think he probably travelled into the Scilly Isles like a 2-miler, and just, I'm not sure if he was out-battled by handstands, but it was just, I'm not sure. I was expecting him to go and win.
Yeah, it just looked probably from jockey, body language as well, that he was always going to win. He was going to win maybe a length, and Nico was going to make a little bit of hard work out of it, but it wasn't going to end up costing him.
I do think that this is more his trip than it would be the 3-mile race.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. I don't think he'd stay.
Because it looked to me like they were going to go that way, or maybe even skip Cheltenham and go to the 2.5-mile Aintree.
Yeah, I'd say the 2.5-mile at Aintree might be more up his bag. I've a bad feeling that this race might just ever so slightly catch out his jumping. He's a nice horse, though. I wouldn't be giving up on him by any stretch. And considering he can't run in the novice handicap, I don't believe, or he needs another run or something like that, I'd much prefer him running in this, and it makes more sense for Henderson to run him in this than the Brown Advisory.
Only by night?
Yeah, she'll end up being a horse that people will latch on to, maybe in the without market or each way market. Gavin Cromwell is very good at getting some of these slightly more outside the box horses placing in the Arkle. I can't see any better than her placing, though.
I know she's not trained by the same trainer, but is there anything put the kettle on about her? That kind of good enough to serve it up to the boys in receipt of weight? Potentially.
Again, at Exeter she was decent, but I can't come out and give out about LOFTUS' finishing effort. I thought Only by Night turned into the straight at Exeter was going to win easy, and she had that Con O'Keefe mare kind of pretty much up her arse by the finish line. Now that was over an extended 2-1 at Exeter, a stiff enough finish, but I know she's all pace. I don't know. I feel she'll travel really well into the race, but maybe the hill might cause a couple of issues for her.
Brown Advisory, then the 3-mile Grade 1. It's a shame we don't get to talk about the 2.5-mile turners.
Does it keep you up at night?
No, it doesn't. Looking forward to a strong Brown Advisory. I agree. I think the changes will make a competitive novice handicap chase with it open at the top, and that we've obviously got a more competitive Brown Advisory here now as a result, because you suspect Ballyburn or whoever could have run in the 2.5-mile race. Now, Ballyburn's 2-1 favourite after his win at the Dublin Racing Festival. Dancing City is 100-30. Better Days Ahead 10-1. Croke Park 11-1. Lecky Watson 14-1. They're the main protagonists that are likely to go and run here. There's something about Ballyburn, Andrew, that I'm just not 100% on at 3 miles. Do you see any reason why he shouldn't go and win this?
I don't think he's a certainty, that's for sure. I've been picky about him this year, probably overly at times. He was, I probably even in the DRF review didn't give him enough credit for what he did. And my worry with this race is jockey bookings, because I am a Dancing City fan.
He's a very different type of chaser to Ballyburn.
And he is. He's a different type of horse. He's a big, old, staying horse. It wouldn't have surprised me if the National Hunt Chase was what it used to be, that Patrick Mullen somehow would have managed to cajole Willie to get him to run in that race, and he'd have been a steering job. My problem is that Townend will ride Ballyburn. Who is riding Dancing City then?
Danny Mullins, because he rode him at the DRF last year.
Yeah, that'd be a positive booking.
Who rode him at Aintree? Paul Townend.
I think Townend, yeah. So, like, I just worry.
Dancing City, Danny Mullins has done it again.
It would be remarkable. There is a chance that we turn up on the day and Patrick Mullins is riding Dancing City.
And that puts you off?
Massively, yeah.
Okay.
And that's I'm consistent on this with all amateurs, and some of these guys are absolutely superb jockeys in their bumpers, in their races against other amateurs. And Patrick Mullins, even over hurdles, I actually think he's a very good jockey. But like, the pros are the pros, you know. And like, people will tell you, oh yeah, no, but you wouldn't have any of these guys out of place as a pro, and maybe that's the case. But that being said, you've got to tell me there's a couple of pounds difference between Paul Townend in the saddle and Patrick Mullins in the saddle. It's just fact.
What price would Dancing City go off if Paul Townend was riding? Would he go favourite?
He would, yeah. He'd go off 7-4, and Ballyburn would be around 5-2, I'd say.
I think it's interesting. Ballyburn is a speed horse in comparison to these. The ground could play a massive part in this race. Yeah. And the field size as well. Mm. We almost want something, maybe a Croke Park, to go out in front and make this a real test. Because I think if it's a real test of stamina, you take Ballyburn into the unknown, whether horses like Dancing City and Better Days Ahead, who have both won at 3 miles.
Yep.
They've got more stamina proven. Dancing City, I like him. I think if I hadn't already anti-post interest in Better Days Ahead, I think I'd be really, really fancying Dancing City. But I completely understand your point with jockey bookings.
I just think, you know me, I really like Dancing City as well. But there's an ever so slight, and I know we're dealing with completely different types of horses, but this race is beginning to mould into my mind like the National Chase a few years ago. And is Dancing City the Run Wild Fred? And like Statler is the Ballyburn in terms of we're kind of adamant that we're getting him beat on stamina, and yet they'll somehow contrive a race where there's only 7 or 8 in there. They'll hack around and it's the fastest horse that will win, and I'll be annoyed when that happens. That's what's just over the last week or so I've been kind of playing out how this race is going to be run, and I'm not sure where the pace is coming from, because I don't think Croke Park will run. I think he'll be kept for Fairy House for the 2.5 mile grade 1. Then is it Lecky Watson out in front? You know, whoever's riding Lecky Watson, they're not going to be bursting a gut because he's maybe a suspect stayer.
Have we seen the best of Dancing City over fences this season? And I say that because last year he got better with every single run. Going into the DRF, I don't think many people thought that he was going to go and win that. No. He goes and wins that. He then runs a good race in the Bartlett. He then goes and wins at Aintree. He then goes and wins at Punchestown. He got better and better with racing. Now, he's probably not set any worlds alike this season over fences. There's not been one standout performance where you've gone, wow, like that's a Gold Cup horse down the line. But beating Bioluminescence was a step above what he did on Chasing Debut.
Massive, yeah.
Is there a chance that he could yet again maybe improve half a stone for that? And if that is the case, forget jockey bookings. The horse has definitely got the ability to go and win this race.
He does, and the comparison I made there is wrong in terms of, like, I think that there's a lot more, you know, there's not much between Ballyburn and Dancing City as there was obviously with Statler and Run Royal Fred. I'm just slightly concerned with how it's going to play out. If you gave me an old-fashioned RSA from 10 years ago where they go hammer and tongs and it's a complete bloodbath, there is no horse other than Dancing City that will win. But if they kind of go the way they did last year, where it's 6 runners and they fart around for 2 miles 6, I'm afraid Dancing City will be outsped.
Unfortunately, I get the vibes that you're not a massive fan of Better Days Ahead.
Dear me. This is a horse that, like, I get the whole Martin Pipe angle going up in trip over fences. I get he's been decent over fences, but he fell in at Navan, and people are still there clinging on to their shrewd dockets, going, oh, yeah, no, but that was still an encouraging effort. He fell over the line.
Is Stellar Story a completely forgotten horse with this race? Because he doesn't have enough runs to go and run in a handicap. He might be saved for an Irish national. I think that's likely. But if he was to turn up here, we're looking at an Albert Bartlett winner who did beat the Jukebox Man last year.
He did.
He's ran a very good race behind Better Days Ahead. He was staying on. I actually personally think that they only wanted one horse to win that day, and Stellar Story's job was to finish second, maybe a bit further behind Better Days Ahead than he did. Is he one that if he turned up, let's say at 20, 25 to 1, it wouldn't be the worst £2 each way you've ever had, would it?
Probably not, but if you're wanting a war of attrition for Dancing City, you're wanting just a full-on war for Stellar Story. Like, they need to go flat out at kind of mile pace for 3 miles and hope that he kind of clutches it all at the end. No, it was a much more impressive performance at Navan. I got the feeling as well that, potentially he could have been a little bit closer to the pace, and I think they desperately wanted Better Days Ahead to win. Better Days Ahead's a horse that probably doesn't do a whole pile once he gets to the front. I just don't have him in the same class as the first two in the market. Like, I just don't believe Better Days Ahead is actually a proper Grade 1 horse. He could be a Grand National horse in time, or he could be an Irish National horse in time, but that's different to being a Grade 1 horse.
There are going to be, I'd say, 100, maybe 200 people behind that camera screaming at us right now and going, lads, Ballyburn won the Ballymore. He bumped into Sergino over 2. That was never his trip. He was really good at the DRF. Why are you both not just going, he's going to win, 2 to 1's a gift? What would you say to those people?
I think Dancing City's a better horse than those people are possibly making out him to be. I'm not suggesting Ballyburn can't win the race. I don't believe 2 to 1 is a gift. I still think, I am coming round to the thinking, though, that he has a much stronger chance than perhaps I've given him throughout the entirety of this season. That being said, the one thing I said at the start of the year was I couldn't have him at all in the Arkle, and at least I did get one thing right.
You did get that right. If Paul Townend rides Ballyburn, he's going to go off, 11 to 8?
Yeah. Very dependent also on how many winners they've already had by the second race on the Wednesday. If Final Demand's gone in, if Kopek Des Bordes gone in.
But is it a case that if you fancy Ballyburn now and that's not going to change, people behind the camera might get involved now?
I wouldn't be getting involved now.
I don't see the ground conditions.
I don't think he's going to be 4 to 6. Like, unless Dancing City wasn't to run, I think there's always going to be a price not that dissimilar to 2 to 1. You might have to take 7 to 4, 13 to 8, but I don't think there's going to be any difference or much difference at all in what you're going to get on the Monday morning once everything's declared and you know the entries as you're going to get now.
We do hope you've enjoyed that preview of the 5 Grade 1 novice races at the Cheltenham Festival. Just to go through the offers at the start, just in case you missed those, the Cheltenham Festival betting guide is a must for any jumps racing fan. It's made by Paul Ferguson and Weatherby's, and it's fantastic. Loads of contributors in there. It's everything you could ever wish for with regards to pointers towards the best week on turf. You can get 4% off the print or the digital or the bundle by using the code LTR CFBG25. It'll be on screen as we speak right now, and the link will be the first one in the description down below. Do go and get your copy. Those that have got a copy before will know how good it is, and those who have never got it, you won't be disappointed. And then also, if you are 18 to 24 thinking of going to the Cheltenham Festival on either the Wednesday or Thursday, do sign up to Race Pass, the Jockey Club. It's a fantastic initiative to go and getting young people going racing. You can get 50% off your ticket for either the Wednesday or the Thursday at the festival, but there are limited tickets available for those people. So go and do it right now and beat the rest before they do sell out. So we do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below with which horses you believe hold that best chance of winning those 5 Grade 1s. Until then, we'll see you very soon.